Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a small box card game called Subastral. This is for 2 to 5 players and takes around 20 minutes to play on average. And this one is designed by Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback and published by Renegade Games. So if you watch my content regularly, you might know that recently I reviewed a game called Stellar, which is from the same design team, and I absolutely adored that game. However, that was a strictly 2-player game. And since I made that review, a lot of people have been reaching out to me saying, Dan, why don't you try out Subastral if you like Stellar so much, because it's from the same design team and also it accommodates a higher player count. And that's what I did. So let's show you how Stellar works. So first off, you're going to have a big stack of cards here. You're also going to have this kind of communal row of cards numbered from 1 to 6, and on each of those cards you're going to have like a stack of cards which are going to build up throughout the game, which you're going to either add into your hand or add into your scoring area. And I think explaining the scoring of this game first is going to really help you understand how the game works. So the idea of this game is that you're trying to collect these cards of these different suits. So you've got like 8 different suits in the game, represented by the symbol on the left here. And you can see here that I've collected all these different ones here. And as you'd expect with a lot of set collection games, you're going to score based on a sliding scale. So if you collect 8 different sets of cards or suits of cards, then you're going to get a massive 36 points. But if you only ever had 4 different types, then you're going to score 10 points. However, that applies again and again, as long as you start from your first collected set. So the order in which you collect cards in this game is massively important because you only score starting from the beginning. So you can see here my first set is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards for a big 28 points. But my second row is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards for only 15 points. And that's also going to apply for the next one. So if I had another one here, it's going to be another row of 3. But because I haven't got that first one, these ones aren't going to score either. So you really do have to start from the beginning each time to score those sets. However, there is a kind of polarizing way the game works where your highest or your most numerous stacks of cards or vertical columns are also going to score. So you can see here I've got, or my biggest sets of cards here are these 3, where I've got three types of each. And at the end of the game, you're going to score your two of those stacks, or your 2 most frequent stacks, depending on how far along they are on that row. So let's just say, for example, I didn't have this card because it's going to make it a bit easier. So these 2 here are my 2 highest stacks because I've got 3 of each. You're going to score for this particular column. You're going to score 3, 6, 9 points. That's 3 points each because they are the 3rd along in that row. And the same is going to apply for these ones here. They're going to score 5 points each because they're the 5th along in the row. And as you can probably imagine, if I had, I'll say 4 cards here, that would be my highest stack. So therefore they would score 6 points each. If you ever have duplicate stacks like this, so you've got 3 sets of 3, you still only score for your 2 highest. However, the lowest ones to the furthest to the left are going to take priority. So you are really incentivized to get those bigger stacks further along the line. So I suppose we should talk about how we acquire those cards in the first place. So each player is always going to have a hand of cards, and all you're going to do on your turn is you're going to take one of those cards. Let's say I take this 5 here, and I'm going to play it on the matching number, or the kind of cloud number here. So this 5 would have to go on the 5 here, like this, adding to the stack if I need to. And then you're going to have one of 2 choices. So the first choice is to take any of these stacks to the left into your hand. So I could say take these into my hand like this, giving more options in the future, and then replenishing that card at random like this. Now, if I ever wanted to take the action to the right, so let's say I played this card in a future round, put it on the number 4, again matching it, then I can take any stack to the right of that card into my scoring area. So let's take these here, I'd add them to the matching sets like this, or if I haven't collected that set, add it to the end of the row. So you really do have this conflicting mechanism where if you're playing a card, you have to weigh up, do I need more cards into my hand to help me in the future, or do I just take points available to me to the right, add them straight into my scoring area? And kind of weighing up the 2 is one of the biggest decisions in this game, because you're always kind of attracted to take cards and add them to your scoring area because it's going to be how you win the game. But if you keep running out of cards in your hand, then you're not going to have that flexibility to do what you want to do. And if you don't ever have any cards in your hand, then your whole turn is going to consist of just drawing a card randomly from the stack here, which again, you're completely in, at the mercy of the game. Additionally, if you ever play a card on the 6 or the 1 area, then you can always kind of wrap around to the other side. So again, if I played a 1 card, I can either take these 6 cards either into my hand or play them in front of me. And the same applies to the 6 to the 1. So you do have that bit of flexibility with the extremities of the board here. But I do really like the way you have to manage your hand. You want a good mix of high and low numbers because, again, the low numbers will give you a great choice of taking any ones to the right for your scoring and vice versa. With the high numbers will give you any of these stacks to the right. And as you can see here as well, as the game develops, if people keep playing the same number, like again the 4 here, you can end up acquiring more and more cards on there, making it more attractive for the other players to play one of the other cards on the opposite end, again, either to add them into your hand or to play them in front of you. So you've got to be really careful about the opportunities you leave other players, and again, having more cards in your hand is going to give you the flexibility to get around that and mitigate that risk. And that is essentially how the game plays. You're going to keep just playing a card in turn order until this end game card here is going to be revealed from the stack, which has been placed prior to the setup. And then I think each player is going to play one more round, and then final scoring is going to be calculated. And of course, the player with the most points at the end of the game is going to be the winner. So let's share my thoughts on Subastral. And I think the best place to start is to start with the scoring, because I think the scoring in this game is fascinating. So first off, yeah, at face value, this is just a simple set collection game. Trying to collect as many sets as you can, but I love the restriction that you have to start from scratch here, otherwise you're not scoring anything. And that kind of extra restriction adds a bit more flair to the game, adds a bit more flavour. Additionally, I love that polarising idea of, yeah, I want to keep collecting these sets because there's a hell of a lot of points to be had there. But also, I want to keep collecting duplicates of cards, especially if they're further along my row, to score those bigger multipliers. But if you're doing that, you're probably forsaking the ability to collect those other sets. So spinning those 2 plates is quite a difficult thing to master, but really satisfying. And the fact that the game is so quick, it only takes about 20 minutes, that tension of whether you're going to get that pulled off or not it just shines through masterfully. So I think the scoring in itself, while it's familiar, it just does enough different to make it feel interesting, different, and just unique. And I think that's brilliant. Additionally, that core mechanism, that the flow of the game is just so easy. Just play a card from your hand, either take cards to the left or play cards to the right. That is as simple as it gets, and anybody is going to understand that. Maybe the only thing that's going to take at least half the game to understand is how the scoring works. But once you've got it done, this is really easy and as clean and as elegant as it gets in relation to its gameplay. And that extra restriction of, you have to play on the matching cloud and manage or work with the cards in your hand just adds enough to the game to keep you focused and restricted. But if you find yourself backed into a corner where you think, well, I've only got this card, I can't even take any more cards into your hand because maybe you've got a really low number, then that's kind of your fault, because probably earlier in the game you had the opportunity to take more cards into your hand to give you that flexibility, but you chose the point instead. And again, weighing up those 2 decisions is a big part of the game and where the interest really lies for me. I think the replayability of the game is generally good. I mean, I find myself playing this game back to back to back again and again, and because it offers quite a meaty and rich experience in such a small time frame, I think games like that tend to stand up well for me in terms of getting to the table again and again. I love clever little card games, and this game falls right into that niche. The interaction of the game really lies in the competition, the fight to get to the particular cards that you want, because inevitably other people are going to want those cards as well. And new opportunities are going to keep presenting themselves, because each time you take a stack, then new ones are going to appear from the deck. So you always have something new to work with, and sometimes somebody might be after a particular card because it adds to their column, where you might need that as the next card in your row. So yeah, there is that scarce competition to get to the cards that you want, and all the interaction is going to, or just general playing the game is going to affect other players, just whether you mean it to or not. From a production point of view, the game is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Iconography, crystal clear, and all the different cards have little kind of tidbits on them to learn a bit, or kind of little fun facts and little factoids. The actual artwork itself is absolutely amazing. Just such a clean, crisp, fresh visual design. And yeah, I've got no criticism at all with the actual visuals of this game. The production as well, no issues at all. The card quality is perfectly fine. Nice, slick cards. And yeah, no problems at all. The only thing maybe that might be a bit problem is that the setup of the game is quite big, because you play these 6 cards horizontally next to each other like this, and it can be a little bit of a table hog considering how small the game is, but that really is nitpicking, and generally I'm very happy with the production. So, final thoughts on Subastral. So after Stellar, my expectations were sky high on what these guys can deliver next, and I say straight up, they really did deliver with this one. At first when I played it, I thought, is this all there is to this game? And then I really started to understand the beauty of this game, especially when it comes to the scoring. I think this is so well done. I always love it when designers come out with fresh concepts of board games, but still without being overwrought and simple. And I think Pinchback and Riddle have done such a good job of injecting new life into this small box genre. And to be honest, these games almost feel like they're tailor-made for me. This is exactly my taste. Just clever enough to be intriguing, but familiar enough to not be overwrought and still elegant in their approach. And that's what this game sings to me. Love everything about it. So simple, easy to teach, but just needs that little bit of experience to be good at it and understand the nuances of the game. I love the progression of it, as you keep building more and more sets and columns. All at the time, people are going to keep taking cards from that deck and just counting towards the end where you want to get as much as you can achieved, and keeping those scoring systems balanced is massive. I also love this little twist on where you're going to play these cards, that key decision of, do I need more into my hand in order to keep me going, or is now the time to start scoring? And also, what opportunities am I leaving by keep playing the same card as other people, creating that lure to make people take a massive column with a single turn. So everything here I love. I can't really fault the game at all. I think it's wonderful. So yeah, also even scale as well. Yeah, with more players, it's going to be a bit more chaotic, and you're not going to be. It's not going to be as deterministic on what you want to play next, because the board is going to be changing more. But it still scales well, and it feels like you're always involved. And because you're just simply playing a card and taking some cards and refreshing, and then it's the next player, you're always going to feel engaged with this one. But this is certainly one of those addictive games that I'll play back to back. And it's definitely going to stay in my collection for a long time to come, because I think this is a brilliant little card game that deserves a lot of credit. Just such a charming design, and a well-worthy earner of my shield of quality. So that is Subastral. Definitely check this one out if you like your set collection games and you like your nice little tight card games. Just top notch with this one.